Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaskar, Pranam, Suprabhat, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome once again to the Swayam NPTEL course on English for thesis writing or English for academic purposes. I am Prof. Seema Singh from the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, IIT Kharagpur, and we are in the third week and lecture 12 of this course, Grammar for Academic Writing, Making Your Writing More Readable, Part 2 is the title of today's lectures. We will read it for you once again because there was a tongue twister. Grammar for Academic Writing, Making Your Writing More Readable, Part 2. And these are the concepts covered. If you have already gone through the previous lecture 11, you will see that they are just the same. Once again, we begin with cohesion and introduce cohesion. And this slide is also repetitive, but this slide is repeated because we are going to talk about the similar things we have already talked about in lecture 11, but in a slightly different context. So, cohesion is very important for each and every writer because they would like to make the points clearly with pieces of writing that are easy to read and have logical links, but finally have to be put in one document, which may be the PhD thesis or the article or the abstract. This coherence, this clarity of expression is created by grammar and vocabulary through cohesion. Cohesion is therefore the glue that joins your ideas together to form a very cohesive whole. Here we have a picture of Leonardo da Vinci in the first half of the slide, a 15th century Italian genius who produced only a handful of finished paintings. Mona Lisa and the Last Supper were among those, and he is remembered mainly as an artist. Also, he was an innovative engineer, scientist and anatomist. Now, we write these points in the form of a paragraph. Leonardo da Vinci was a 15th century Italian genius who produced only a handful of finished works. However, they included the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. The former, perhaps the most famous painting in the world. Although he is remembered mainly as an artist, he also was an innovative engineer, scientist and anatomist. And this is again adapted from Stephen Billy, Academic Writing, published 2011. Now, the purpose is, why have we highlighted certain words by using different color or bolding it? So, you have to examine that question. And here on this slide, we have two paragraphs, one longer than the earlier one, and you have to write it or copy it or print out this slide. And the question or the task for you is, what changes could you make to the text below to improve it? And if you cannot, take the help of your supervisor or academic guide. This is one of the solutions which we read. By 1800, the global population had reached 1 billion. One of the principal reasons for this growth was the invention of agriculture. This innovation enabled us to go from being hunter-gatherers to highly organized producers of food. The transition was crucial in breaking the cycles of famine that had existed before thousands of years and allowed us to expand rapidly. There were, broadly speaking, 4 agricultural revolutions. The first took place 13,000 years ago and was defined by the domestication of animals. The second, breeding of plants and plant types. The third agricultural revolution took place between the 15th and 19th century. This was a revolution in agricultural productivity and in particular the mechanization of food production. The fourth happened between the 50s and now, the so called Green Revolution. And you know that after this we had the Milk Revolution or the White Revolution by George Korean. So, then we come to the topic of information flow, and there are two versions of the same set of happenings. We read only the first one. Norma has had a terrible 5 years. Someone stole her car and set it on fire in 2010. 2 of her toes had to be amputated the year after that. A road accident killed her husband in 2012. The other driver's carelessness was the cause of the crash. A storm damaged her house earlier this year. So, this looks like a itemized list without the bullets, but you can read version 2 and think whether it is better than the version 1 or version 1 is better than version 2. I leave it to you. Another example of this kind of activity is on this slide. This task has been adapted from Gopin and Swan, published in 1990, and you do it at your own leisure at your home. Then we come to the topic of the thinking pattern. So, the theme of one sentence becomes the theme of the next sentence, and therefore, the linking pattern is essential. Example, this paragraph from W. P. Jolly, 1972, Electronics, page 61. The paragraph goes like this: the complete electrical behavior of any valve or transistor can be described by stating the interrelation of the currents and the voltages between all the electrodes. These relationships can conveniently be displayed graphically, and the various curves are known as the characteristics of the device. In principle, all the characteristics should be available to the designer proposing to use the device in a circuit. So, if you study the sentence, you find that the first sentence describes a behavior, the second interrelation, the third relationships, leads on to characteristics, and the last is available to designer. So, there is a linking pattern in this paragraph of 3 sentences. So, the topic continues in this paragraph. Anthropology is the study of humankind, especially of Homo sapiens, the biological species to which we human beings belong. It is the study of how our species evolved from more primitive organisms. It is also the study of how our species developed a mode of communication known as language and a mode of social life known as culture. It is the study of how culture evolved and diversified, and finally, it is a study of how culture, people and nature interact whenever human beings are formed. This extract has been taken from Marvin Harris, 1975, Culture, People, Nature, page 1. Now, in this paragraph, if you make a schematic study of the sentences, anthropology idea will be in the first half of sentences, and then study of humankind, how species evolved, development of language and culture, how culture evolved, how they interact is what is given in the second half of the sentences, which links to the first half, where again it begins with anthropology. Now, this long paragraph, what kind of pattern do you notice here? And that is a question, and there is no spoon feeding. So, you can try your own answer. So, what we would like to say is a super theme leads to sub themes. The super theme will be in red, and the paragraph goes like this: now, since the advent of communicative language testing in 1970s, authenticity, the first super theme, has been a concern in language testing, and it has often been argued that if we wish to predict a candidate's ability to communicate in the real world, then texts and tasks should be as similar to that real world as possible. Bachman 1991 makes a distinction between situational authenticity and interactional authenticity. Now, these are sub themes: situational authenticity and interactional authenticity. We are coming to this for the first time. Now, the sub theme starts to be described. Situational authenticity, glossed as life-likeness, is held to involve some degree of replication in a test of actual speech events in language use situations. In contrast, interactional authenticity, that is sub theme 2, is a function of the extent and type of involvement of test taker's language ability in accomplishing a test task. Later, Bachman and Palmer 1996 consider authenticity, again to sub main theme, to be a critical quality of language tests alongside validity, reliability, consequences, interactiveness and practicality. They separate the notion of authenticity from that of interactiveness and define authenticity as the degree language test task to the features of a TLU, target language use task. This is taken from Alderson J. and Banerjee J. 2002, Language Testing and Assessment Part 2, Language Teaching, Journal 35/2, 79-113. So, you can check the source. Then we come to theme preview pattern. How to preview the pattern in the themes of a paragraph, and the themes are given in green font. The paragraph begins, "This literature offers 4 explanations for this puzzling phenomenon." The first explanation is something something something, the second explanation is something something something, the third explanation is XYG, and the fourth explanation is ABC. So, this is how themes can be previewed and patterned. Then there are examples of blended patterns, that is something in yellow. Mechanical engineering is the application of science something. Mechanical engineers focus on the design, manufacture, operation and maintenance. Then the piece of their work, this is the place where the other sentence can be put together, range from XYZ. Mechanical engineers usually create engineering drawings, and engineering drawings are related to earlier drawings. Earlier drawings were made manually, but nowadays they are produced using some code, modern CAD programs. The source for this has been acknowledged at the bottom of the slide, and I think you have understood a blended pattern by now. So, in this slide we have examples of blended patterns, 5 of them. And we move further to a passage from Nicholas, published 2014, page 59, where the important words are red and in purple. Now, we come to paragraph transitions. We have 2 columns. The first column on the left hand side is regarding a master's dissertation in East Asian relations, and on the right hand side is mathematics journal articles. So, see what words we use for paragraph transitions in both set of articles. So, of the 4 commonly tested foreign language skills, that is LSRW, listening, speaking, reading and writing, it could be argued that listening is the one of the most important not only do we spend up to half an hour lives listening, which Phaeton found out in 1991, it is also the skill that people are more interested in when inquiring about general English language proficiency. This is a quotation by Buck in 2001. Yet, listening is also probably the most difficult of the language skills to assess. Listening involves a highly complex interplay of neurological, linguistic, semantic and pragmatic processes, none of which unfortunately for the assessor can be directly observed. The complexity and invisibility of listening has not, however, prevented researchers from developing either theoretical or empirically based lists or taxonomies of listening subskills. In more recent years, these have come to include the use of listening criteria incorporated within the Common European Framework (CEF). Although not without its critics, the CEF is now increasingly used as a basis for the assessment of foreign language skills, not only within private institutions across Europe, but also in several national secondary school education systems, including in Austria. So, another paragraph is like this: indeed, Austria was one of the very first countries in Europe to fully implement the CEFR across a school language education system. This has resulted in a complete paradigm shift in the secondary education system, including for the first time the introduction of standardized EFL tests in which assessment procedures are based on the communicative CEFR criteria. In the final year of secondary school, students in Austria may take the Matura English test, which covers the skills of reading, listening and language in use. Speaking is optional. This is a very much a high stakes test, because students are graded according to the test results, and achieving the equivalent of a B2 level is a prerequisite for entry onto many undergraduate degree programs abroad, including in the UK and possibly within Austria itself. So, now we have come to the conclusion of this PowerPoint presentation, and in this case, in this presentation, the conclusions are different from the concepts covered, which come right at the beginning of the presentation. The conclusions are 7 here. The first is to use reference words and phrases, substitution and ellipsis to make your writing more cohesive. The second, the use of linking words is only one aspect of cohesion. Be careful not to overuse linkers, and when you use them, do so appropriately. The third, the overuse of simple repetition can make your writing monotonous. So, work on developing more complex repetition by using different word forms. And the fourth rather, while synonyms can add variety to your writing, they may not always have the same meaning in particular contexts. You must remember that certain keywords may not have synonyms, and there was a slide in which synonyms were asked for. There were 5 words and there were blanks behind them. Just check up the PowerPoint and you will find that there was a slide where synonyms have been asked for, and I have not done it for you, I have left it for you. Then we come to the last 3, that these and anaphoric or shell nouns are commonly used as cohesive devices in academic writing. You must notice examples and try to incorporate into your own writing. Sixth, think carefully about how best to order information within sentences to make your writing more fluent. And the last, use transitional language to make the connections between paragraphs explicit to the readers. And with that, I would like to show you the references for this PowerPoint presentation, and we come to the conclusion of this lecture 12. Thank you so much and God bless you. Namaskar.